You're 40 years old, you're out of shape, and you're trying to figure out the recipe to get your body back into optimal form. Today, I'm going to help you out with that. My name is JD. I'm a 40-year-old hybrid athlete and personal trainer. I use calisthenics, weightlifting, and running as my primary modalities of training. But today's video is not going to be about training. It's actually going to be about the things that we use to fuel our training. More specifically, the 3 things that we need to be eliminating from our diet so we can train efficiently. You're 40 years old. You are a busy professional. Time is of the essence. A lot of times we are on the go, we're on the rush, so we'll order food without thinking. And one of the things that I notice a lot of men in their 40s tend to order is quick sandwiches or processed meats. Things like deli meat or hot dogs or Spam, things of that nature. You know, I say Spam because I used to live in Hawaii, and one of the popular snack items that people eat in Hawaii is Spam musubis. It's something that's kind of like second nature to people on the island, but it's extremely unhealthy for you. So are a lot of these processed deli meats. So are things like hot dogs and processed meats in general. And all of these processed meats are usually heavily salted and they're highly inflammatory. And when it comes down to getting in optimal shape and building an aesthetic body, highly inflammatory foods are something that we're going to want to get rid of. And from a health perspective, these highly inflammatory foods, processed meats, are actually a grade 1 carcinogen, foods that are highly linked to cancer. So that's going to be the first dietary item that you're going to want to eliminate. But moving on to number 2, this is actually going to be a drink, and that is alcohol. Again, I know a lot of you guys are busy professionals. I know a lot of you guys have work meetings, work events, have to host people, entertain clients. I completely get that. But alcohol is going to be something that you're going to want to limit as much as possible. I'm not saying that you have to completely eliminate alcohol, but it's something that you should not be consuming on a daily basis. You shouldn't be having, a couple glasses of wine at the end of the night. You shouldn't be having a drink, a nightcap to take the edge off. It's something that you can do socially, but I would try to limit it as much as possible. If you know that you guys have a client that you have to entertain, that can be the one day during the week that you drink. If you guys have a family event, or if you guys have a kind of meet up with some friends, then you can have a social drink here and there. But at the end of the day, I would try to limit alcohol intake to 1 day per week. And even with that 1 day per week, that's not an excuse to go off the rails and have 3 or 4 drinks. Try to limit it to 1 or 2 drinks for that night. What I've noticed personally when it comes down to alcohol consumption is that it is probably the worst thing for recovery. Recovery is one of the most important aspects to optimizing our performance and optimizing our physique. So consuming something that is going to hinder that recovery really just doesn't make any sense. And again, alcohol is also something that is extremely inflammatory. There's a ton of sugar in all of these alcoholic drinks, and sugar is inflammatory. And guys, before we get into the last thing that you want to eliminate from your diet, if you guys are interested in getting in the best shape of your life and you want to learn more about my hybrid approach to health and fitness, go ahead and go to my website, hybridathlete40.com. Take the assessment and we can prescribe you a online program, or you can see if you qualify for one-on-one coaching. But now let's get back to that last thing that you should be eliminating from your diet, and that is going to be fried foods. Fried foods actually might be the worst thing on this list for your diet as far as cholesterol, as far as heart health, as far as carcinogens. One of the things that's the worst aspect of eating a lot of these fried foods that you eat out is the fact that a lot of these restaurants are reusing oil, and the reuse of a lot of these seed oils is actually what makes these oils so dangerous and why these oils are linked to things like cancer. A lot of us in our 40s, that's when our cholesterol levels start to go up. One thing I recommend that every man 40 years old and older gets done on a yearly basis is make sure that you get your blood work done on a yearly basis. And this way that you have an overview of your health, and you can put a game plan together to figure out what you need to do and the proper steps that you need to take to get your health on track. Just to be a little transparent with you guys, I recently got my blood work done, and I was on the upper limit for normal when it came down to my cholesterol. And speaking to the doctor The number one thing that the doctor told me that I need to stay away from is fried foods. And he told me it's not something that you can have once a week. It's not something that you can have once a month. This is like something that you should only be having once a year. That was his words. You should only eat fried foods once a year. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I only eat fried foods once a year. I'd probably say it's like a once every 3 months thing for me. But after he told me that, it was something that I took to heart. And previously, before I had gotten my blood work done, I was definitely eating fried foods a lot more often. But now every time I see that a food is fried, it's something that gives me a little cause to pause. Just as an overview, the things that we went over today are processed meats, alcohol, and fried food. I'm somebody who is a strong believer in everything in moderation, but these are things that should be heavily moderated. And just as a general rule of thumb, when it comes down to our diet, we're always going to do better when we eat at home. And the reason why I say that is we know what ingredients we put in our food when we cook our own food. When we go out to eat, I know a lot of you guys, again, live a lifestyle where you're entertaining clients or you're going to work dinners or you're going to work events. When we go out to eat and somebody else is preparing our food, the people who are preparing our food are not worried about our health when they're preparing our food. They're worried about how that food tastes. Now, they'll do whatever they need to do to make that food taste good, whether that's putting a lot of added sugar in there, whether that's putting MSG in there, whether that's putting a lot of sodium, whether that's frying the food. That's what they're going to do when it comes down to preparing food. And this is something that's extremely common when we're door dashing food or we're eating out. Again, if you guys are interested in learning more about my hybrid approach to fitness and health, go ahead and visit my website, hybridathlete40.com. Subscribe to the channel. Hope everybody's doing great out there. I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.